Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful you can join us for another week.
We sure are.
And today we are very lucky. We have Petia Kolibova-Burns. Hopefully I didn't massacre your name. She is an abundance and light activation coach who guides women to intuitively connect with their inner vision so they can experience personal and professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. Her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest self-expression to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all dimensions of their lives. Petia gives immense clarity and exact steps to unlock women's divine feminine and abundance mindset through subconscious work as a certified breath work facilitator, Reiki, NLP, and human design practitioner. So welcome. It's
Yes.
very nice to have you on.
Thank you
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so we talked and so we're going to talk about uncovering your blind spots and shifting into power, but can you just give us a little brief bio of yourself and how you kind of got into this work?
Absolutely. And I love the topic, and I feel like it's so important because I feel like that was like the story of my life. I could not see what was quote unquote wrong. I couldn't see my blind spot. I couldn't even see myself. And I feel like, I feel like we truly choose our parents, right? We choose before we come, before we incarnate. And I feel like even though our souls know the mission, when we come here, we forget it. So when I was born, my mom, she had me very, very young age. And I was an accident. She was dating my dad for 2 years, but the first time they were together intimate, she got pregnant. Imagine that.
Wow.
So my whole life, the story I was telling myself is that I was an accident. I shouldn't be here. My mom would have had a better life if she wouldn't have a daughter being so young. And those were the stories that I was telling myself. So for me, it was really hard to see myself and who I really am because I stepped into the patterns of people pleasing and doing whatever I can to be seen and liked and appreciated. And my mom remarried when I was like 5 years old, and my stepfather was very, it's so funny, but it's like anti-women, like women are less, and like, the matches, and he was just he was mentally and physically abusive to me. So that just even reconfirmed that I should not be here. And then I just could not see. I couldn't see what am I doing wrong. I couldn't see why am I choosing partners who are so much like my father, right? Like it's like when you're in it, you cannot see it.
That's true.
And that was just the story of my life. I was in it and I couldn't see it. And I was outsourcing my worthiness and outsourcing my happiness. And it just was so heavy and unbearable. When I was 18, I attempted to attempt suicide.
Wow.
And if I would believe in coincidences, I would say I'm still here by coincidence, because back then my ex-boyfriend, he was working on construction and the machinery broke. So he came home few hours earlier than normally he always does. So it's just like looking back, you can see the breadcrumbs that you were put on your path to keep going, to keep showing up. And I feel like it started to showing up and shifting for me like consciously when I was almost 30, so over a decade ago. And it started to shift in a sense that like I was feeling just so heavy and being so depressed that I'm like, there must be more to life. Like I don't believe that we came here and this is it. I felt emptiness inside that I was, trying to fill in with food. I had almost 2 decades of eating disorder that I had on my shoulder. And I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. Something has to change or I can't keep going. And, like when you quote unquote fail, harming yourself, you learn. And the second time you don't, unfortunately, you don't miss. And I know it per experience because my uncle, he did took his life, so First time he missed and second time he didn't. So it's I'm not pretending like to make it lighter subject than it is. It's not. I'm just saying that I was in a space that I just knew that this is it. Like there is no coming back from that. And like I said, this is over a decade ago. It wasn't as easy as now listening to an amazing podcast like yours, or going on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Like back then, it was more like in person, and the yellow pages, things that people don't even remember these days. So it was much more challenging, but thankfully, like I started like Googling and looking at YouTube, like how to overcome depression, how to feel happier. And I found Louise Hay, and she literally saved my life. Her teaching, her books, her explanation of self-love, like nobody ever told me. Nobody ever told me I'm supposed to love myself. Nobody ever told me I'm supposed to respect myself. I was told to shut up and do whatever I can to please those around me, so I deserve the spot, right? And so that's when my life started to shift physically, emotionally, spiritually. I looked at those people who were working with her or others, like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Gabby Bernstein, Dr. Joe Dispenza, later Tony Robbins, Les Brown. Those people, when I look at them, it's like their life was miserable. They went through so many hardships, and they created abundance in their life. They created families. They created true richness in a heart. They overcome those challenges. And that was kind of the first moment in my life that I looked at others instead of envy. I looked at them and I felt inspiration. Like if they could do it, why not me? And ever since, it's when I started to work on myself and supporting other women to do that. Whether it's life mindset coaching, business coaching, a lot of women who come to me, they know they're meant for more. They know they want more in life than just going 8 to 5 in a work and never see their kids and never be home and hustling and working hard. It doesn't resonate with them. So I teach them how to create holistic abundance, their health, their relationship, their self-care, but also businesses, how they can be richly paid to be themselves and create that abundance. And like I said, it's a continuous journey, continuous learning and unlearning. And once you like quote unquote get there, life completely shifts and tells you, no, 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 we have more things, we have more layers, and it's just continuous learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sure
And I
is.
mean, it is inspiring because like Louise Hay was like well into her, I think, 60s and 70s before she even started the publishing company and became well known. So like that is inspiring. And uh Dr. Joe
Spencer.
Dispenza, he was homeless, right? Like you look at these inspirational stories and you're like, holy crap, like yeah, these are good. And so that's great that you have relayed that you don't always have this perfect upbringing or this perfect life, but you can shift things as you become more conscious and know that there's something more out there for you.
Yeah, become what you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe Eckhart Tolle, he was homeless, when he was like struggling and people thought that he's crazy, and look at him now, best-selling author and speaker. And it's just like you can always turn your life around. And I also want to share with others that you don't have to hit the rock bottom. Sometimes we feel like I have to go deeper, I have to hit the rock bottom so I can like lift up, but you don't have to. I feel like we all experience pain in our life, but we don't have to suffer.
That's
It's
right.
two different things.
Yes, it is. You're
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. You can be the phoenix rising from the ashes without actually having to be in the ashes.
That's so fascinating. This is the second time I'm hearing it. And it's so funny, like rising from ashes like a phoenix. It's so fascinating because I helped one of my clients create an online program called Phoenix Rising.
Wow.
And I feel like it's so beautiful when you know that you can always reinvent yourself. because even for me, I mentioned before we hit the record button, I have 4 months old daughter, and she's our rainbow baby. Last year we lost our twins, and it's just like life, it's always bringing you experiences to help you grow and expand and evolve, and everything changed. With my first pregnancy, with the loss, being pregnant after loss, it's very like physically and emotionally challenging. And then holding my daughter in my arms, I mean, it's beautiful. And the sleepless nights and the frustrations, and let's be honest, it's not just, picture perfect babies for Instagram. It has its challenges. And so I'm reinventing myself again as a mother, as, business owner. It's If we can embrace that, the change is constant, life becomes so much easier, because sometimes we build something and we start to like treasure it, like this is it, and my business will never change, my relationship will never change, or I got this, I know how to take care of my health and myself now. And you get to keep reinventing yourself and keep checking in. Is this still satisfying me? Is this still feel like soulful success? Is this still bringing me inner peace? If not, what gets to be changed? How can I change?
Yes, absolutely. Because we're ever changing as humans. And so then I think it's important that we do reassess that from time to time, because I think our goals change, where we want to be heading, what we're looking for, what brings our soul passion, I think even changes, right? I mean, some people are blessed, they know from a very young age and they're blessed, but a lot of us go through life and it's like, what does really set my soul on fire? And how can I get there? So you say that there's some blind spots in that, and getting to those. How do you find those blind spots for yourself?
That's a brilliant question. And I feel like, those blind spots, it's challenging to see it for ourselves. That's why I love working. I have my mentors, I'm part of a mastermind. I love having people on the outside. Of course, there's the inner work we can do always. Like what really deeply helped me was human design, really understanding who did I came here to be, who did I choose to be here this lifetime, what is my blueprint. I feel like human design, it's really beautiful modality that we can really understand ourselves and those around us. So that helped me tremendously. Meditation, self-inquiry, journal, like a free flow journaling, when you just, whatever comes to your heart, let it go, let it flow, let it come up. And sometimes it even feels like the pen takes over, and it just has its own life, and it tells you like the things that you wouldn't even think about. So, like those are like doing the inner work, right? So internally, it's meditation, nature, journaling, breath. I love breath work. I wasn't doing it when I was pregnant, but now I'm going to be going slowly back. It's having the modalities that can really support you and breathe life into you. It's very life-giving. So breath work, I do inner dance, which is Kundalini activation process for myself, for my clients, because it helps transcend the conscious mind, our thoughts. It helps us go deeper, in a deeper healing, in a deeper state of consciousness. And you just get connected to the higher power. You just do, because you are in that trance state, but it's conscious trance. So I love those modality. Those are inner works. And then the outer work, like I said, having mentor, being part of a mastermind or a group, so it can really help you to look at your life, like really look, where are you? If nothing ever changes, are you okay with that? If not, what gets to change? What are the aspects? Like, look at the biggest aspects of your life: your health, your wealth, your relationships, your contributions. Look at those areas that are really important too, because you can find 10 areas, you can find 5 areas, each person will have it differently. But when you can look at those, what are the biggest areas? How do I feel in them? Which ones are good? Which ones would I like to improve? And then in those areas that you want to improve, ask yourself, what are my beliefs in those areas? A lot of women come to me because they want to create more abundance. They want to create more freedom and knowing that they're impacting others with who they are being. And very often they cannot see their blind spots like undercharging, not feeling worthy, people pleasing, not speaking their truth. But those stems from beliefs. So when you look at your life, when you look at what is happening, if you look at your life and you ask yourself, what are my beliefs in these areas? And when you can look at, is that really truth? Is that really my truth? Do I still believe that? Or was it true when I was growing up and it really helped me to stay safe? That's okay. Some of our beliefs, they help us grow and keep us safe. That's fine. When you're 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, when you're 30, 40, 50, 60 and up, those beliefs usually don't apply because you evolved. So
Mhm.
looking at those beliefs and start rewriting them, using affirmations, speaking truth out loud is going to be shifting your reality, and keep checking in with yourself. What are your beliefs? What are your core values? Are you living in integrity with those or not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good said. Well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, very well said. So would you say like those things that you talked about are certainly things that people could pose as questions to themselves or prompts while they're journaling to kind of get to that, to unveil some of their past that they want to go on and what ignites them?
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's so many things, like so many ways where we can go, right? It really, it's so personal, like each person, like what are you going through? It's just your own journey. So you get to really tune in what applies to you or not. But I feel like there are like two ways how you can take it. Like I said, first, it's like the limiting beliefs and looking at those and start rewriting them. Look at what you're experiencing now, what you're experiencing in your life. What are the results that you are getting? If you're happy with those results, please keep going and tell us how you do that, right?
Yeah.
If you look at those results and you're like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Well, what led to those? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? Again, what beliefs led you into doing and taking those actions that led you into those results? You get to just, it's like reverse engineer going backwards. So looking at that, that would be like one way. Rewriting those limiting beliefs really and seeing more clearly what do you want. That's the second path, because very often we do things we think we could or we should, but do we really want to do that? Like, for example, like my first business, when I started it, I was doing social media marketing because that's what I did in a corporate for a few years, and I was really good at it. And so when I got fired, I'm like, okay, I know how to do this, so I will continue do this, because what else would I do, right? Like, I had my bachelor's in marketing, had my MBA, but I'm like, I'll just have my own business because, like I have 2 clients, no idea what am I doing. Of course, undercharging, not seeing myself worthy. There was just so many things that I had to learn through my first business. But the thing is that with my first business, I was doing it because I could do it, not because I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But through doing it, I really see that, okay, I had to ask myself, what parts of this do I like? What parts I don't? What parts I want to delegate? What parts, I want to pass, or what pass I like things I don't want to even pass. I just don't want to do it. I had to really honestly look at that. And I realized through that I don't love the aspects of doing the social media for my clients, like doing their captions, posting and stuff like that. What I do love, it's truly the mindset. So I shifted from social media into mindset and life coaching. It took me way longer than, it had to, because I didn't want to let go. You build something, you're like, I don't want to let this go. But I had to do that because I was miserable. I was working 7 days a week, all the time on the phone, all the time on a computer. Now, even before I even have my daughter, I was working 2 to 3 days a week and having multiple 5 figures, you know, a month. So now I'm working 2 days, and I'm really making the schedule work for me,
Yep.
because that's what works for me and that's what feels good to me, you know? So you have to ask yourself, what do you want? And sometimes people don't even know. They don't even know what they want. So I tell my clients, start with what you don't want. That might be easier. I don't want to work long hours. I don't want to work on weekends. I don't want to be, working hard. I don't want to be hustling. I don't want to do this alone. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel burnout. Well, great. What do want if you don't want this? I want to feel supported. I want to feel ease. I want to feel freedom. I want to be traveling. I want to be more present to my family. I want to have time for myself, right?
Mhm.
Whatever it is. So those are the two paths that I would really look at, and this will really help you uncover those blind spots. Also, watching your languaging very often, because I'm, master NLP practitioner, neuro linguistical programming, where we really focus on the power of the words.
Mm.
Like really look at what are you saying on continuous basis. I cannot afford this. I cannot do this. This is not possible. Good for them, but I cannot do it. Right. So sometimes we think that even like as a joke, like, oh, I'm just kidding. No, you're not. Like the universe, God, source, whatever you believe in, doesn't recognizes the difference between just kidding to affirmations and declarations.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. I had somebody that mentored me just a little bit. And one of the things they said is every time you have a negative thought in the day, write it down. And then because it brings your awareness to actually how much negative thought that we have. And it was interesting when you said, just kidding, because the one thought that I had, well, I said it to somebody, I said, oh, well, I'm not smart enough to do that. And then I laughed and I was like, just kidding, right? And I'm like, okay, but right, the universe is still hearing that I'm not smart enough to do that. And I'm also a big fan of affirmations. I do them every day. And I liked where you talked about what you don't want and what you do want, because I think you can, once you realize what you want, you can turn those into the affirmations that will help you to get there.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating. And I know Louise Hay was always teaching it. Whatever you say, it's affirmation. Whatever you say, whatever you believe, it's an affirmation. And what do you keep repeating every day and all day? Because if you're doing positive affirmations, how long do we really do them? We do them for 10 minutes a day. Even if we go crazy and we say, oh, I do affirmations for 1 hour a day. What are we thinking the rest of the day,
That's
right?
right. Yeah. That's right. Because I agree with you, and I love that. And like I watch Christy Whitman, well, we both do.
Yeah.
And sorry. And so then like she talks a lot about that as well, of watching your words. And so I really love that message. And I'm glad you said it, because it's a good reminder to people to really watch what you're saying. And because you're like, so much we're talking about manifesting good things into our lives, and we say the exact opposite of what we're trying to bring in.
Yeah, the truth, that's the truth. Yeah. So be careful what you say.
So is there tips for somebody of maybe how they can catch themselves when they are saying these negative things to kind of switch that around? Is there some kind of
I feel like, it goes back into like really looking at what results are you getting in your life and what are your beliefs, because your thoughts and what you're saying, it's creating your beliefs. Beliefs are just things that we keep saying and thinking over and over. So that would be the first looking at it. And then also, like, anytime you're thinking or saying something, notice your body. How is your body feeling? Is it feeling more alive? Is it feeling more energized? Is it feeling lighter? Is it feeling good? Or you just had a conversation, or you were sitting with yourself, or you're doing dishes and you were thinking something and you're feeling miserable? What were you thinking? Is it like, I always love to ask myself, is this life-giving? Would I really want this to happen?
I like that.
Mhm.
That is a good question to ask yourself, because I think that would bring more awareness to people in their everyday
Yeah,
life.
sure would. Yes, it really would.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, that is a very good idea.
Thank you. We get to just
Mhm.
keep it simple, like I can give you a million affirmations and million things to do. Like, I'm doing so many modalities that we could be sitting here for next 10 hours and I can just bring it over. The thing is that we get to give people something they can just go and do it right away.
Yeah.
Give them a quick win. People want to feel empowered. People want to feel they can do it. People
Yes.
want to feel that there is hope and they have different possibilities in life. With that, we don't want to overwhelm them. We want to give them the ease. Like I said, if they're listening to this and if they go back and just write down the questions, write down the tips, that will be just doing this will be life changing. Because what happens sometimes we are listening to podcasts and recordings and we are feeling empowered and good and motivated for how long?
Yes.
Right?
Just for that time.
You forget it
Yeah.
until the next time you gotta do laundry or take out the trash and you're cursing because you don't want to do that.
Yep.
It's like, no, like pause. It's just my client just messaged me on Voxer, it's like a walkie-talkie app, like messaging app. And she just sent me a picture just so you see the notes that I'm taking from our talking, and it's so beautiful because the thing it's like, yeah, you can listen, say, yeah, that resonates. You'll forget it. It will pass. You'll get busy. Write it down. You can always go back to it, but even the mere fact of writing it down, you're bringing the non-physical into the physical. It will help you shift how you're feeling. When you shift how you're feeling, you can shift the beliefs and the actions, and you will be getting different results little by little. Don't try to change your life from day to day, but start noticing, and you will be able to see more clearly what were you not seeing before.
I'm in a habit now myself where when I start thinking negative, I say to myself out loud, what are you thinking about? And why are you thinking about that? Because then it makes me aware of either feeling down or whatever it is. And then I start changing it immediately. But I have to say, usually what my first word is, oh my God, really? You're going to go there? And, why? Right? And save myself that time because it's a waste of breath, waste of thought, waste of time. But yeah, the more I do it, the better it's getting. Like, nope, not doing that today. It's not on my
You know what I
calendar.
used to say to myself? Go to your place. You know how we say to the dog when they do something and you're like, go to your place, So when I was getting like complaining or when I was judging someone or when I was like having negative thoughts, I pause. I'm like, go to your place. And of course, for me, go to your place, it's not going to the corner like when you're sending a dog. But my place, it's place of peace and place of tranquility and place of
Yes.
just ease. So just go to your place and it helped me shift. And sometimes my husband, when he notices, he was like, go to your place.
Yeah, that's cute. That's very cute.
I like that. That's awesome. Another one that I just recently heard, I think The Rock said it. He says, I get to. So it's like, I
Instead of
get
I
to
have
do
to, I
this
get
instead
to.
of I have to, right? It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I love that because, right, we are always like, oh, I have to go to work. No, you know what? I get to go to work.
And meet
How nice.
people and do things and yeah.
Like when you shift that, like little
Yeah.
things like that. So I love what you've given people to, it's just these little tweaks in your mind that you can do. And then, if they're not listening to it, they can go to their place.
They can.
Absolutely. Sometimes we feel like, it's too much to change our life and what we are doing and what's happening. And it's like sometimes it's really just the little tweaks that add up and can create a big changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to tell us about how people can find you and where they can find you? My turn.
My favorite place to connect is Instagram. I just love being there, so that is a perfect place to connect with me. It's Petia Kolibova, my unpronounceable name, so you will put it in the show notes, I'm sure.
I will.
Because people will be like, P what? Like I get it every time. So Petia Kolibova or my podcast, Unapologetically Abundant. I love going there, doing solo podcast episodes. Sometimes I interview amazing people that are really inspiring. So those are the two places that you can really connect with me. And if you want to go even deeper, you can just check out my website, which is also my name, petiakolibova.com.
Perfect. I will add those in the show notes. And so as a final thing, if you had a piece of advice or some thought that you'd like to share with our followers, what would be what you would like to share with them?
I feel like the last thing that it's on my heart is just to really remember that you're perfectly made for your purpose. When we can remember that we don't have to change, that we don't have to put ourselves in a box, that we don't have to be like everybody else, that exactly the way you speak, the way you look, the way you express yourself, it's perfect for your purpose. It is so life-giving when you can do that. And like, we talk about it, like sometimes we cannot see those blind spots. Sometimes we feel like it's the same story over and over, different places, different faces, but we are feeling that heaviness there. So when you can remember that, it's going to give you the courage to keep going. And if you want to even deeper support what I started to do now coming back from maternity leave, I have a free gift of it's called Abundance Activation Process, when I help people see their blind spots, to get unstuck, to see how they can get back into the flow. So I'm more than happy to send you the link. The spots are limited because, I told you I love being with my daughter. So spots are limited. However, I feel like that's my paying it forward and really helping people to see how they can activate their abundance and really see how I can support them to create that richness in their life and others.
Beautiful.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And
Yes.
yeah, if you want to send me that, I'll include that in the show notes as well. But it's been such a pleasure talking to you,
It
and
sure
we'll
has.
let you get back to your beautiful baby daughter. And
We remember
thank-
those days. We remember the days.
Yeah. So
Beautiful
thank you
days.
so much for sharing space and giving your wealth of knowledge. We'd love to have you back on sometime, and
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can share some more knowledge with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and what an honor to be here. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Oh, thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much. We
you.
enjoy it so
You-
much.
Yes, and
We really do.
you as well.
Yeah.
And everybody else, tune in next week.
You bet.